I have big shoes to fill after that introduction and after such a great panel. I'm just so thankful to have the opportunity to speak on a platform with such other great students, administrators. As you know, Quenton Bonds, I'm a student ambassador, PhD candidate at the University of South Florida. I started my education at my hometown, Montgomery, Alabama, which is a historically black college and university. Thereafter, I taught high school for 2 years in a very poor county. In fact, I think it's one of the poorest counties in the nation as far as education. We actually only got $425 per student to teach our kids. Thereafter, I decided to pursue a master's degree at the University of South Florida. At the time, I hadn't decided on pursuing the PhD, but opportunities opened up through programs like NASA, United Negro College Fund, and I was able to, I don't want to get ahead of myself, I was able to pursue my PhD at the University of South Florida starting in 2006. As Dr. Pertle said, my defense is in 11 days. I got to get her a manuscript in about 6 days. Thereafter, I started work at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center, and so many of the things that the students, the administrators spoke about speak to the depth of me. It was basically about how do you inspire the younger generation, the K through 12 generation. You see, I wasn't your conventional high achiever student, okay? Out of high school, I didn't have any scholarships for school out of high school. I didn't have any colleges sending me information. In fact, I can remember going to my counselor's office. She called me to the office off accident, she was supposed to be calling another student named Quenton Barnes, who was a year younger. And I was always aggressive. I said, why did you call him? She said, to go to college. I said, I want to go to college. She said, you might want to go to trade school. But seriously, true story. And I was a senior, and I never met my counselor before that day. However, at Alabama State local school, my parents told me, you want to go to college and you want to get a degree. I wasn't really into the education thing that much, but I did what they said. And when I got there, I met a guy by the name of Dr. Wallace Maryland. And Dr. Wallace Maryland gave me a chance. My senior year, high school, I made all A's. I still didn't have a 3.0 GPA, though. But Dr. Maryland said, I did. Dr. Maryland said, Barnes, if you make the grades, I'll give you the scholarship. So I can remember falling asleep in my books, waking up in my books, and that semester, I fulfilled the requirements, and man, Dr. Maryland just took me up under his wing. He sent me to conferences. He encouraged us to do internships, and as I did some of these internships, I see the Rice University booth back there with Ms. Teresa Chapman, and I would meet other minorities pursuing high degrees, and I thought about it. This school thing is giving me a chance to travel. I'm learning a lot. I'm doing internships. I'm developing new technologies, and I realized that, man, you know, I can get a master's degree. I can go to graduate school. So eventually, I was afforded that opportunity through USF and Mr. Bernard Batson in the engineering department. And thereafter, Mr. Batson sent us to a conference back in 2004. I chose to major in wireless technology in graduate school. And I remember going to this conference, and the recruiters were heavily recruiting us for things like missile guidance systems, missile tracking systems. And I was a little disheartened to coming back to my master's program. Man, this thing is sensitive. Coming back to my master's program because I didn't want to make anything to hurt people. And I remember, it's a true story, I remember praying at my desk, Lord, I really want to, you know, work in this technology field, but I don't want to kill people. And I thought about NASA. And I remember praying for an opportunity to work at NASA. And so I pursued opportunities. From 2005, 2006, I needed some funding to go to graduate school. My funding was running out. I had the Bridge to Doctorate Fellowship, which is an NSF fellowship. And I got a call one day from some opportunities I was pursuing from Dr. Sonia Green. I remember Dr. Green said, we're giving you an internship at NASA Ames. And I had a similar reaction to my friend here, Berto. And it sounded something like, hallelujah. And I was hoping that Dr. Green wouldn't think I was crazy, but you got to understand my background. You know, I was a good kid, but understand that, you know, I didn't know any scientists and engineers as a child. You know, I knew about how you can get into a gang. You know, I didn't get involved, but, you know, at one point, all of my friends were gang members. I knew about Well, we'll move on from that. But, but to make a long story short, they gave me an opportunity, man, and things just blew up from there. I mean, I started to present at conferences all over the nation. Atlanta, Georgia, even a conference in Hawaii. Last year, in November, I presented at a conference in Tel Aviv, Israel. And so after this program with NASA Ames, I was a student in the NASA Harry Jenkins Predoctoral Fellowship Program, which I was in development of a microwave sensor, a non-contact microwave sensor to detect astronaut health and astronaut vital signs. Thereafter, from the Harry Jenkins program, I was cohort 6, and I won a mini research award to go to NASA Goddard and do further research at NASA Goddard. So NASA Goddard in 2000, NASA Ames in 2006, NASA Goddard in 2007. And I was at my first NASA Harry Jenkins conference. And once again, Dr. Sonia Green, I think it was Dr. Melissa Green at the time, they told me, you need to meet this guy named Paul Reset. So I was like, okay. And I went and met Paul Reset. Paul Reset was in wireless, but at the time I did antennas. So it's a little different. I was like, okay. I met Paul Reset. I was like, well, he doesn't do any, he does radiometers. He doesn't do anything similar to what I do, because I do antennas, right? So make a long story short, for my PhD, we decided to change things up, and we're designing this sensor in the same instrument that we use to get ocean currents, wind vectors. If you think about it, I got a trivia question. If you think about it, Earth is mostly what? If you think about it, the body is mostly what? So the same instrument that they use to get weather, we're using that instrument to get subsurface body temperature, which brings me to the NASA GSRP fellowship. So I needed one more year of funding. This thing is going haywire. I press back and it goes forward. So I needed one last year of funding, and it's a saying we say came through in the clutch. NASA came through in the clutch. I won the GSRP fellowship to develop this sensor to detect astronaut core body temperature. I defended in 11 days. And just in closing, I just would like to say thank you to NASA, because you know, NASA, National Science Foundation, we all talked about K through 12 education. You know, without these things, I wouldn't have known about the opportunities that were available. In fact, it's inspired me to pursue what we like to call the Accelerated Destiny Initiative. So a lot of the questions that you all have, I've been working on this thing. I used to work on it like once a week on Sundays all throughout my PhD. I wasn't as consistent as I wanted to be, but it's about exposing underprivileged youth to technology at a young age, and that's my heart, that's my desire. And I would like to also link up with National Science Foundation, American Science Society of Engineering Education, NASA, organizations such as that. I want to go, I see a vision of myself. I want to walk into projects and knock on the doors and try to inspire some of those people to, you know, would you like to involve your child at this K through 12 level to get involved with engineering education? You know, I'm not afraid. You know, I've seen guns. You know, somebody actually pulled a gun out on me before. So if they do it then, it won't be nothing new. But I want to inspire these kids. I want to inspire these kids to pursue higher levels of education, just like most of the panelists, just like you. Your passions are my passions, but in closing, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, and I hope I make you all proud.